Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Grow Your Strength. Thanks for joining today. This is the second week of a 6-week program, and we're going to get started with some breathing, and you can choose a face up or face down breathing position. If you feel like you need to take a few minutes to just roll out a little bit more, be my guest. That's all good. We'll spend a couple minutes down regulating the nervous system, focusing on the depth of your breath and slowing the pace, whether you prefer face up or face down. Just line your posture, micro adjust anything that doesn't feel quite right through the neck and shoulders or down into the low back and hips. And just going through sort of a head to toe check to make sure you're not hanging on to any tension there as you're trying to relax the body. With each exhale, just letting go of any tension that you might still be holding. If you can breathe through the nose in and out, that would be preferable. Here we go. After your next breath cycle, let's make our way to half kneeling. Taking yourself into a half kneeling position, trying to maintain, I was going to say your calm, your calmness. Just leveling out the hips, armpit to hip level and rib cage to pelvis level here. From that position, I've got my front foot out just a little wider because we're going to work on some rotations. So you can cross your arms. And from your hips up, rotating away from the hips, turning and looking behind you will help to add a little bit more rotation through your neck. Come back to center, another deep breath in, and a slow rotation the opposite way. Down regulating the nervous system with the slow breath cycles. This kind of sends the message to your body that this movement improvement is not perceived as a stress that's going to make things tighter. We want to open up the posture, work on improving the rotation. So just think of that as you go a few more times side to side. We'll take the arms out and do the same, rotating away from the hips, opening the fingers. My palms are facing each other, anchoring in my shoulders and shoulder blades. Nice. And then lastly, we'll go with arms overhead, spreading the fingers and rotating again. Once you get to your rotation, can you go a little further with your vision and just gently get a little bit more out of your neck? Add that exhale as you rotate. And after a couple on this, with this version, let's switch sides. Okay, so back to half kneeling, taking some time. Level out. A nice tall posture. Foot out just a bit so you've got a good base of support. You can focus on that rotation, and we'll just repeat the 3 arm positions on this side. Back to center, inhale, and exhale, turn. Arms out in front, open up those fingers, anchor in the shoulders. And then lastly, overhead. Nice work. Taking it to frog position next. So that's on hands and knees. I take my hands a little wider than my shoulders, knees a little wider than my hips, and just start to gently hinge the hips back towards your heels. Your feet can be toes turned out for a few. How does that feel on your ankles and knees when your toes are both turned out versus toes flat? And then what about trying to turn the toes in a little bit and then see what happens when you sit back, get a little different stretch through the front side of your ankle. Toes any way you like. Let's shift the weight to the right side and to the left side as you sit back. Just getting yourself a little stretch through the inner thighs. Coming back to center with the hips. Try somewhere you sit back and turn and look over your shoulder. And then cycle through your hands again, taking some load through your fingers. And switch to looking over the opposite shoulder, side to side, just a few more times. We'll transition from here to lying on the back and taking a band between the hands for some shoulder mobility first, and then we'll go into some knee and ankle work. So just in a bridge position with my feet hip width apart, taking a band. This particular band has loops in it, so I can kind of open my fingers as I reach overhead. You could just use a regular stretchy resistance band if that's all you have. Generally speaking, it's easier on your back to have your knees bent, but if you'd like to try some of these with your legs extended out, just make sure that feels okay on the back as you reach overhead. Take the band all the way back to your hips and then overhead. Opening up the fingers. If you have a stretchy band that you're gripping, then just let go of the band for a moment overhead and just give yourself an opportunity to open up the hand and stretch the fingers. Wider can be a little more forgiving. So if you're struggling to get your band back of the arms overhead, just go a little wider. You can hold the overhead position and check that you haven't arched your back. So do you need to teeter your back down just a little bit? Rolling the head a little left and right. And back to center. Just go one more time, perhaps with that head roll. Weight of the head is on the floor, so it's nice and safe for us to mobilize the neck one side then the other. And then we'll take some time to change it up to some knee bends. Working the knee and foot and readjust the posture. You can either have your non-working leg bent like this, or straight if that feels okay on your back. Pull the knee into your shoulder, give yourself a nice little stretch, and then extend the heel up. Maybe drawing the toes to the shin and spreading the toes. Just let you go with about 3 to 5 of each of these moves. And when we get to the footwork, try to do 3 to 5 slowly, trying to access your range of motion. I've moved into point and flex, holding the leg in a position that where there's not a lot of knee bend. So if you have to back this off with a strap, that's fine. But find your range that you can access on the slow side and then pick up the pace and try and find the range on the faster side. Okay, then turning to ankle inversion and eversion with the toes flexed towards your shin. Same idea, all the way in, all the way out, slow and fast. Try pointing the toes to the roof and then turning the sole of the foot in and out. The stretch that I feel through the front side of the ankle has definitely lessened, the tension with some of this work done consistently. So that's good. Picking it up and then finish with some circles, slow and fast in each direction. Good. All right. So let's switch sides and we'll return to the knee bends and extends, just adjusting the posture, non-working leg. And here we go. Fully extend up, draw the toes towards the shin, try to spread them a little. I say this like every class, but I really like doing ankle and footwork. This has a big payoff, so it's easy for me to see the benefit of doing this consistently. Okay, so stretch the toes, point and flex, slow and fast. Turning the ankle in and out with the toes flexed. And the toes pointed. And then into some circles. Keeping the leg as still as you can. Nice work. Okay, so let's bring both the knees into the shoulders and just take a moment to gently pull them and stretch the hips and low back, adjusting the neck, drawing the chin down if needed. Got 3 exercises that I'm going to go through here, starting with the double bridge. And the sequence is 2 double bridges and then 2 single leg bridges. So when you're ready, return your feet to the floor. Make sure there's a neutral back. So if you have a big arch in your back, you're just going to tuck that down a little bit. Get ready to extend your hips up, squeezing glutes, and come back down. I was watching a Strong First webinar this week, and it was about cueing. And the cue that the master instructor gave was push your knees away to the wall. So my fireplace is right over there, right there. So as I come up, if I push my knees to the wall, I kind of lengthen out through the quad and the hip flexor. So I like that cue. So a couple of doubles and then take one foot off. Try to keep the placement of the foot where it was for the double bridge. You can still do that cue, of course, with just the single leg. I feel like when I push my knee to the wall, I'm getting a tiny bit more hip extension. Back to the doubles, 2. Readjusting the posture through the chin and the low back if needed every time. And then how about you? That cue work for you? Sometimes cueing speaks to you and you get an improved movement or a different feeling in a good way. And sometimes it's like, what? I'm not sure I get what you're saying. Okay, reverse tabletop crawling, small then bigger move. So now we go to a reverse tabletop position where the knees float over the hips, fingertips up, and then anchor in your shoulders. Here you can pretend you're crawling, so you can flex your hands and spread your fingers and your feet. And start with some small reciprocal movements of your opposite arm and leg. And almost just naturally, without thinking about it, my head started to roll a little bit. So allow that to happen. And then gradually, based on how strong your core is feeling, make the movements a little bigger or perhaps a little wider, slowing the movement down to the end range, turning and looking at your overhead hand. Whew, feeling that works. So you just kind of, that's enough of that. You pull your knees into your chest and just roll a little side to side. And we'll reset and do that one more time. So here we go. Flex the hands and feet. Try not to let the knee that's coming forward come too far up. So still try and keep that floating over your hips. So you're not just tightening up your hip flexors to stabilize, just work within the edge of your ability. Good. After your second set, little rest again. And the third exercise is the get up to the elbow with a low bridge. So from this position where I have the right arm up and the right knee bent, I'm anchored in. So punch to the roof and then connect the shoulder. Opposite arm and leg are on a diagonal. When you're ready and you feel like your back is set, you take a breath and just easy roll to the elbow. Make sure that you're not shrugging through the bottom elbow, and then gently lift up and then come back down and roll away. About 3 of these per side. So this is get up to the elbow with a what I would call a low bridge. So here, elbow up. Now just watch you guys. We'll do about 3 per side. Oh, that's great, Shirley. Pam, you got it, Heather. Okay, so we'll do a couple on the other side. Really want to make sure this position of your shoulder over your down elbow feels stable before you load into it. Okay, now we'll run through this set one more time. Same exercises, starting with the double bridge sequence. So 2 bridges, pushing your knees away. Now I have to push that way, which is my window, not my fireplace. Up, full hip extension. So I'm not here finishing with a bend in the front of my hip. I want a straight line between my knee, my hip, and my armpit. If I go higher, then I'm going to get into the back. So the low back stress. So don't go higher. And then reposition for your singles. Nice and strong. Back to doubles. 3 rounds through this set of 2, 2, 2. Then next up, we go back to the reverse tabletop crawling. So you want to take some time to make sure your back feels good. The rib cage is not popped up, so you might have to press the mid back to low back down a little bit. Flex the hands and feet, and then just slowly start to pretend you're crawling and spread your fingers, spread your toes, let your head roll a little side to side, and explore where you can go without losing your posture or holding your breath. So those would be 2 signs that you've gone too far with the reach. If you feel that tendency to, hold your breath. And then after your first challenge, just draw those knees in again. Maybe you want to roll a little side to side. Relax the feet. And then reset. And here we go. Nice deep breathing in and out through the nose. Try a little wider. Maybe hold the hand overhead and turn and look at your fingers. Side to side. I think I decided this week that this was my new favorite core exercise. Yep, okay. In some regards. Well, the get up, of course, but here we go. Here's the get up to the elbow. Take your time, make sure your shoulder's not shrugged. Gently lift up. Boy, that's nice and stable through that shoulder. Come down and roll away. This is not meant to be an upward movement, it's a roll. So you've got to position your arm and leg on a bit of an angle. And then when you roll, it should be easy to just come up into that stable shoulder position. It's just practice to get the position right for you, your arm length, etc. Wonderful. Okay, finishing off your get-ups, we'll move to cat-cow. So coming onto hands and knees, spreading the fingers, making sure you're not tented through the knuckles. With flexing the back, rounding the back up, dropping the head, you can add tucking the toes and just gently pushing through your toes and hands. And then relax the feet and toes and start to move through each vertebrae of your back, nice and slow, dropping the chest, looking up. Tuck the toes again and start to round the low back up. Then what about the mid back between the shoulder blades? Let the head be heavy as you push the floor away with your hands and toes. Taking the last cycle of this slow enough that you can feel parts of your back that might not move as easily as others. Maybe think of it as an inch by inch progression. Nice. Taking some time to stretch the wrists. Just flip the palms up. You can go one at a time or both if you just sit back on your heels a bit. Spread the fingers. Give your wrists a few little circles. I'm going to do the plank hold push-up combination here. If a plank on the floor is too challenging for you, then I'm going to pop up and show you the option in standing. Try and do something up to the number 5 today. So that could be a 5-breath hold in the plank position. It could be a little mini push-up. It could be a lower to the floor. And then bending your knees and coming back up. You want to position yourself in a good solid plank before you go into the push-ups. You don't want to be losing your spine, neutral spine. So play with that. Popping up to a wall or the fireplace. You can use this quite effectively to work your shoulder blades together as you pull in, and as you push away, the shoulder blades come apart. The last exercise in this set is a squat and press, what I call long cycle. So that's finding a weight that you know you can press overhead. So that you should be clear on first. The long cycle squat and press, you position yourself for a squat. Feet hip width or wider, toes straight or turned out. Long cycle, we don't stop. So you come down and up and down and up. 5 is the rep range goal. Feel free to go higher if you like. pulling yourself down nice and straight and extending the arm overhead. If your shoulder didn't feel good with pressing, you could simply keep the weight here and just squat, right? You don't have to go into the long cycle overhead unless you can. That's good, everyone. Okay, let's go back to the push-ups, and that could be elevated. If you can't do push-ups on the floor for 5, this is something I've been thinking about, just doing 5 of something, but bringing it to an elevated surface is a lot more like offset your body weight. On the floor, it's 55% of your body weight. Then it goes to like 35% and 20% up here. So you can actually get some full motion in through your shoulder blades and this pressing core action. Whatever you do, you just want to make sure that you stay out of the neck, right? You're not in a shrug. It should feel good pulling yourself in and pushing away. That's it, Shirley. I like that version of your wrist stretch. Just a little shake it up, baby. Coming out of this, we'll return to the squat and press. Then we'll do one more round of cat-cow. That looks good, Pam. So I've chosen the weight that I used the first time because it felt good. Again, listen to your body. If it was too heavy, go lighter, go body weight, adjust your feet. This is one-sided. So with the one-sided weight, it's easy to be offset or to be pulled into gravity. So think about pulling yourself even. That's why you get the extra core bonus with one-sided work. Nice deep breathing. Good. Switching sides. I'm turning my palm out to face the camera. I realize now just looking at the camera that I disappear overhead, but I think you get that idea. Nice and even. Excellent job. Okay, so let's go one more round of your cat-cow flexion extension on the floor. Gift your back, tuck the toes with a little flexion. Release the feet, move through each section of your back slowly, dropping the chest down, pulling the shoulder blades together and looking up. Give yourself one more full cycle of the cat-cow, and then we're going to return to standing for a bent over row with dumbbells or a band. So I'll show both. A bent over row is sitting back, bringing the elbows up to the sides, keeping the back nice and neutral, neck neutral. Depending on the load that you've chosen, and go up to 10 repetitions. If you don't have a band or a dumbbells that are challenging enough, a stretchy band works. Standing in the middle, sit your hips back into a hinge and pull, elbows to the sides again. Nice finish position. If it's too easy, walk your hands closer to your feet. Stay out of the neck. So you're trying to squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then they release as you extend the arms straight. Nice work. Okay, second exercise is a static lunge. We have the option to add load today. This is standing in place One foot back, up and down 6 times, tracking the front knee over the foot and coming back up. Make sure your foot placement is straight so it's not turned. The back heel can stay off the floor. I like to say connect with that front foot and your toes and your front foot. Go to a depth you can control. To 6, and then switching the front foot. Taking some time to get that connection. Step back. You want to add the breath. You could inhale down, exhale up. It's great, everyone. I like it. Okay, third exercise in this set is an extension reach. So this is from a staggered stance, no weights required. I'm going to split the stance, bring my hands and hips back, and then lift my heels up, reaching and looking up at the roof. We'll do 3 of these and then switch the front foot. See if you can get your arms right back. This is a lot of control through the feet, connecting with your toes. If you feel like this is too challenging, you could take your feet even wider apart. That's going to give you a wider base of support. Otherwise, hip width. And after 3, change your front foot. Arms back, lift up, look up. Okay, you're extending your ankles, your hips, your shoulders, your neck by looking up, opening the fingers. It's a great exercise to improve posture. Okay, so we'll go through these 3 exercises again. A reminder to have a little water, starting with the bent over row. Up to 10 repetitions. Taking your time to get into a hinge position. I've got my weights on the outside of my legs. This is a doable weight for me. And if you're feeling like it's too hard, you could go with a wider stance and maybe split your stance and do 1 at a time if you have limited weights available. Be creative so that this feels like it's a good exercise that's building you up, not hurting you in any way. Up to 10 repetitions. Break if you need it, and then right into your split stance. With the split stance, you can go a little forward with that front knee. You don't have to. You could keep more upright. Whatever works for your knee and for your back. Just come back up to posture every time. And you can change it up. You don't have to make every repetition exactly the same. A little diversity, a little lunge diversity. Good. And then one more time through the extension reaches. We'll do another 3. Splitting the stance. Let's work those feet. Gently connecting the toes, trying not to scrunch the toes. With practice, your feet become a lot stronger and you can actually hold the heel lift for 3, 2, 1, and then come down. This takes practice and other exercises that we can do in other programs for the feet to make them stronger. I've really noticed an improvement in my own balance for things like this. And overall, that's why I love this stuff. Did you hold at the top for a little bit and then bring her down? Okay, new set, last set, standing hip hinge with weight if you can. You could use dumbbells or a kettlebell up to 6 lifts. So I'm going to stick with my 10-pound dumbbells this morning. Take my feet a little wider than hip width and slide those weights down my thighs to just below my knees and then stand up. I'll show you from the side. Hips back to the wall behind me, knees bend, coming back up. One nice add-on you can do, because I can see everyone there has dumbbells, is you could take the time in the standing position to rotate the palms open. Just get a little bit of shoulder blade work. Nice. Come back. Inhale as your hips go back. Exhale up. Open. As you stand up to posture, activate your hip muscles. Good. After 6 or so, put one weight down. I'm going to go into the halo. So taking the weight in front of the chest, and then over to one side and behind my head, over to the other side, and back to the front. You can do about 3 each direction, changing if you want, or 3 one way and the other. Connecting with my feet, making sure my knees aren't hyperextended, so I'm not here. I'm here, floating my posture over, trying not to lean back or to the side as I bring this weight around. So side, back, other side, front. Bicep curls are next, and up to 10 reps, so choose your weight wisely. Align your posture. I've got my palms facing my hips, and then I rotate my palms to my shoulders as I come up. This week I've been feeling like I'm saying this a lot, I ramp up the tension. So as you pull the weights up, think about the muscles that you're working, the front side of your arms, your biceps. And you kind of create this ramping up of tension maximally at the top and then release down. Keeping the rest of the body still. Up to 10. That research supports the fact that if you think about the muscle you're working, you recruit more motor units and get better results. So why don't we think about it? Okay, then we go to drop squats and fast feet, both for 30 seconds. So we have about a minute of work, and then we'll do the triceps. So here's drop squats. It could be a drop and catch. There's many options here. If your knees are bothering you, perhaps you just want to do a nice light bounce just to get some elasticity feeling in the knees. Otherwise, it's like, whoops, the floor slipped and you had to catch yourself. If you want to make it more dynamic, you could add a jump. And whoop, there goes my mic. Only on live. Uh-oh. Okay, now it's down my pants. Okay, I got a little magnet there. Okay, obviously the jumping is too much for the magnet. Okay, what was the other one? Fast feet. While Sheila looks down her pants for the microphone. Here we go, 30 seconds. Oh dear. Getting the arms back, nice light landing, going as fast as you want. 15 more seconds, work harder if you can. Last 5 seconds. Nice work, gals. And break. Okay, I was being a little ginger there with the mic. Okay, tricep extensions. This is another one where you find a hip hinge. Make sure your back feels good as you extend the elbows and shoot those wrists back. Nice and even on both sides. Same idea that I explained with the biceps. Ramp up the tension, work hard. When your arms are fully extended, you should feel those muscles on the back side of your arms working. Up to 10 repetitions. Okay, always listen to your body. If you feel like you're defaulting into your neck for some reason, then stop. Okay, now let's go back through this, starting with the weighted hip hinge. And because we're using dumbbells today, I added a nice external rotation of the palms at the top. Inhale, hips back. Back is neutral. Stand up tall. Activate the hips, open the shoulders. Up to 6. Great job. Now with the halo, if the weight isn't challenging enough for you to feel the core work, that's okay, because you want to make sure that your shoulders and neck can manage this. But once you've been doing this for a while and you're just like, oh, this is pretty easy, I don't really get this exercise, it's just really a shoulder mobility exercise. It's when you have a bunch of weight. See, without weight, I can show you from the side. If I go back and I bend, that would be bad. But if I don't bend and the weight's back here, that means all these core muscles are working to not extend my back, right? So that's where you want to play with the weights that you're using and challenge yourself. Okay, I'm not bending. I'm not bending back. I'm not bending to the side. Okay, I got my breath dialed in, right? That makes sense? Bicep curls, how are the weights that you used the first time? For 10, did that accomplish the mission? Or do you need to go lighter or less reps? Always good quality, good breathing. Watch the knees aren't locked out. Ramp up the tension, max here, release down. Make sure you're not lifting or scrunching your toes. Okay, so I'm long connected toes. Wanted to add breath. Cycle, you could exhale and gently connect your toes. Inhale down, exhale up. I don't have to connect breath, but it's something to work on for the advantages it gives our core. Okay, drop squats or jumps. I think I'll stick to this till I find a way to secure that microphone a bit better. Here we go. 30 seconds, here we go. It's like catch, stand up tall. Use your hips as you stand up. Looking good. Work hard. 10 more seconds. Last 5, and we go into the fast feet or a march for 30 seconds. So here's the march. Nice and straight, or you're picking it up a little faster. Breathing, trying to get that heart rate up. Nice light landing on the feet. Get your elbows back. Excellent work, everyone. 10 more seconds. 5 more, faster. 3, 2, 1, and slowly bringing that down. We'll do our tricep extensions. Finish off. Here we go. Again, this is a hip hinge, neutral back. You wanted to add the breath here as you kick those weights back and straighten your arms. You could exhale and connect your toes. 10% pressure as long and straight as you can with those toes. All right, so as we say goodbye, I'll take us to some balanced cross taps. Taking some time to slowly bring one knee up straight from your hip. I was just thinking about some of the other things that have happened while teaching the Zoom classes. I mean, I've had a fire alarm go a couple of years ago. I actually had to leave the class and go onto the street. Then I talked a really handsome fireman into letting me back in because it was just, wasn't a false alarm, but it was just a little bit of smoke from somebody's experiment. And then Lindsay had her cat bring a rat onto the mat. I can't top that one. And so she didn't know what to do. The cat deposited the rat right there. So she got up and she threw it out her sliding door. And then a couple of minutes later, he brought it back. So that's crazy. All right. Thanks so much for building a stronger version of yourself with me today. I'll send you the video. Have a great day, everyone. Take care. See you next week. Bye.